Hi, my name's Lucy Bainbridge and I'm the creator of lucyforlife.com, and this video is for you if you are struggling to free yourself from a destructive habit or an addiction of some sort, and you keep saying to yourself, this is the last time I'm going to do it, and then it keeps happening and you're starting to think that you're going mad because you just can't give up this habit. And it can feel like you've got two different minds in your head, right? You've got this one angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other. And the angel is saying, you know, you've got to get through this. You've got to be healthy. You've got to live a life. And when you do this, everything will be better. And then you'll be free of the anxiety and all of the stress, etc., etc. And then on the other shoulder, you've got the devil saying, no, I want that. And this is what I want. And I want to have pleasure and everyone else is doing it. So why shouldn't I do it? And all I care about is having fun and being reckless, right? And so you've got these two different constant ongoing battle in your head, and you don't know which one to stick to. And usually the devil's winning, right? So you think, is there even any point in me giving up? And the problem with this continuing is it starts to eat away at our self-esteem. It starts to make us feel like we have no control over our behaviour. And it makes us doubt ourselves as human beings and makes us feel weak, right? And really want to be free of this thing. So you kind of use a lot of control. You try and control the situation. And but with that, it feels like a battle, like this battle. And really being free is not feeling like you're trying to fight a craving all the time. Being free is like this thing is gone from your consciousness. It's no longer on your wavelength. You know, you don't have to think about whether or not to have a drink or a chocolate bar. It's just gone. There's no issue there. And so, you know, the thing is with willpower is what we usually do is we use willpower, right? And the problem with willpower is that it's coming from our thinking. And it's, you know, in itself, it's like we'll have a bad situation with, like, say you're looking in the mirror and you're feeling fat, so you now know you want to give up chocolate or whatever, and so you're thinking that, oh, I'm going to give this up, and then the next week you have a different mind, right? So you're in a good mood and you've been good all week and you just say, oh, I'll just have a treat, and then you have this treat, and then it's never just one treat, and then it just spirals out of control, and then you go back to this other state where you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I've done it again. Why can't I stick to it? And so willpower is good, but the thing is you're using your head to resolve a problem, and all thoughts are temporary. So you're going to get temporary results, basically. And so that's why it can feel like a vicious circle. And look, I understand if this is where you are, like, I get it, I totally get it. I've given up all sorts of addictions. A couple of years ago, I was quite heavily addicted to cocaine. I was smoking cigarettes, I was smoking weed. I was eating rubbish all the time. I was in and out of bad relationships. And I was drinking a lot, and I've given up all of that now. And so I've become kind of an expert on what's happening in our minds and behaviour, and noticing what works and what doesn't. And what I've come up with is that there is no one fixed way out on the outside, right? So some people use hypnotherapy, some people use counselling, some people go on diets, some people do that, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. And that's because it's not about the outside technique, it's where you're coming from when you go for these external things. And I know we want a quick fix, so we'll go there and we'll think that we'll be fixed, but if you can see that there's nothing really to fix, and it's really about what you want and you are in control of this, then we can start to help it. So I've come up with these 5 kind of ground rules, and this covers all addictions and this covers all habits, okay? And there's the 5 kind of internal things we have to do, not external, internal things that we have to go through in order to get rid of it. Okay, so number 1, we have to understand that if you're basically thinking that say, for instance, drinking. I'm going to use drinking for the sake of this blog. If you're thinking that drinking is adding any value to your life or creating happiness, or you're using it to make you feel good in some way, then we need to remove that illusion that's happening there, right? So basically, it can seem like when we drink, we become happier. But if you're actually honest with yourself and you think back, sometimes when I drink, I am an emotional wreck on the floor. Sometimes when I drink, I'm having arguments with people. Sometimes when I drink, I'm deliriously happy. And sometimes I drink and I just fall asleep, right? And that's because the drink in itself does not create happiness. It doesn't create sadness. It doesn't create anything. What it does do is it removes your central nervous system. So drugs, anything that's mind changing, it messes with your nervous system. So you do physiologically change, but the emotional and mental state of you is not guaranteed. That emotional and mental state is coming from your thinking. Okay, so your feelings are always coming from your thinking. There is no external circumstance that can create that. And so what you need to do is become very aware and very present when you're doing this thing, and understand, and just ask yourself, don't take my word for it, ask yourself, is this making me happy? Do you feel happier now than you did 5 minutes ago when you hadn't used it? Okay, and that's really what you've got to do. So become very present. And then the second thing you need to do is you need to really ask yourself, am I done here? And what I mean by that is sometimes we want to remove a habit, but we're not actually that willing to do anything that it takes. Okay, so, and that's probably because the benefits are still maybe more than the consequences, or you're perceiving them to be better than, the consequences haven't got that bad yet, okay? The consequences do not have to get terribly bad for you to stop, but you need to really make a decision. Am I done here? Am I no longer wanting this? And if you are, then you really need to make it a priority in your life, rather than just thinking, I'll just do it as a sideline, I just won't do this anymore and it will just be fine, right? So, because when we're at this place as I'm done, you're open and you're willing, and you're going to make a commitment to this, and you're going to take the necessary steps. And so when you're at that place and you're feeling like, oh my God, like I just want this gone, then it's a good place to be, because you are open and you're willing to do what it takes. And so the next thing that you need to do is you need to get out of your head and you need to come into your heart, or follow your intuition. Okay, so basically we have this inner guidance system that has been driving us our whole life, whether we think that we're following it or we're not. Sometimes we act just on our self-will all the time, but we always come back to this inner guidance system, which is looking after us. And we're usually very aware of it when something terrible happens. So say, for instance, someone is dying, or we become very ill, or someone leaves us in a relationship, and we can't cope in our head about it. So we have to kind of just drop, right? And it's kind of like a surrender. And we think it's when we're weak, we're at our weakest state, but actually that's when we become very strong. And it's because we don't try and control the situation with our thoughts and how we want it to be in order to have the ideal circumstance. We have to just, it's like metaphorically getting on your knees and surrendering. You're giving up, basically. You're giving up your will. And so this is where some people pray, some people meditate, some people just don't do anything, and they kind of let life take over because it's too much of a struggle in your head. Now, we usually wait till we're in a crisis or a trauma to get to that state. And it doesn't have to be like that. But we can access that area, that guidance and that place of peace, and it's a strength. It's an inner strength that can come through whenever you surrender to it. And so the way to do that is to get out of your head. So you need to become very quiet, meditate, pray, go for a walk. Just allow your thoughts to settle, and allow the wisdom or the knowledge that you have. It's more like a feeling, but it may come as a thought, but it's a knowing. So you will know what to do next. But if you don't know what to do next, you get out of your head and you wait until you're right, that's what I have to do. Okay? And sometimes we already know this. In fact, most of the time we know that this is what we have to do. But because we're in our head trying to control it, we skirt around the issue and we don't get it done because we think we can, maneuver it so it's effortless and it's the most easy way out, okay? So if you get to that place, it's kind of like, when you're coming to an end of a relationship and you know it's no longer going to work, but you try and force it to work, and then in the end it doesn't work anyway. So you kind of put your self-will on it, and then in the end you just have to end the relationship. You have to go through that change and that pain. And so often when if we're getting to this place, it will involve change. Okay, so the fourth thing you have to do is you have to trust and you have to act upon the guidance that you receive. Okay, and when that may come in the form of a support, it may come that you need to read a book, that you need to speak to someone, that you need to walk away from someone, move house, I don't know, it can come in any form, and you have to trust it because that will be looking after you no matter what. And when you act in that way, doors open for you. I don't know how. It's not something you can work out in your head. It's just, this is how life works. And doors will open for you, and it will be much easier if you just trust in that thing. And then the fifth thing that you need to do is you need to never give up, okay? And you need to be kind to yourself in never giving up. And I try and use this, I think a good metaphor for this is a baby, right? If babies, we don't beat them up because they can't walk. They don't beat themselves up because they can't walk, right? They try, and then we praise them a little bit, and then if they fall down, that's okay, right? We don't then tell them that they're useless and that they're worthless and that they're a failure and that they're stupid and that they'll never be able to do it. And if the baby was doing that, then none of us would ever grow up, right? We'd never get on our first bike. We'd never do anything, because if we just gave into that part of our head all the time, then so basically you just need to remove that. You need to stop beating yourself up, and if you fall down, you just get back up again and you start again. And if you continue to get up and be kind to yourself, I promise you will get there with trusting your instincts and just being guided from there. So the 5 things you need to do is become aware that this thing is no longer creating any value in your life, that it cannot change your emotional state. The only thing that can do that is your thinking. 2 is ask yourself, are you really done here? Are you really willing to do what it takes? 3, you ask your inner guidance system, so you trust in your instincts and your intuition. And 4, you act upon that. And 5, you never give up and you continue to be kind to yourself. So if this has helped you in any way, then please write some comments underneath the thing on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe to my channel and email me if you have any questions or you have any comments at lucy@lucyforlife.com. Wishing you all the happiness in the world and good luck.